Hey everyone, today I am back in Chaos Zero Nightmare with a clear of the first Nebula Distortion boss on difficulty 4, as well as juiced up all the way with the maximum amount of distortion stacks, which is 9. It's taken quite a while to get this clear, but I finally managed to do it last night by just kind of combining a lot of different things and using the theme that I have been kind of playing with quite a bit lately, which is Malin, Veronica and Mika. If you have never played with Malin, because maybe you don't have her or something like that, basically the way how this kind of theme comes together is it's all centered around one card, Rising Dragonspire. This thing can get an epiphany where it gets more hits depending on how many passion cards that you've played before it. So the more passion cards you play, the more hits Rising Dragonspire is going to get. And this can get really out of hand when you pair it together with Veronica, who can have a lot of cards that have 0 cost on them and draw a lot of cards for you. So essentially, I have a crazy amount of card draw in this deck, mostly through Veronica, a little bit through Mika as well, because she is a controller, which means that she can have cards like Rally, Attack, Gear Bag, which are all 0 cost cards essentially. Gear Bag technically has a 2 cost to it. But you never play that card manually, you just combo into it and then it kind of does its own thing. So through all of these different things, I have a lot of card draw, which means that on certain turns, if I get lucky, I'm literally going to be drawing my entire deck in just one single turn. And because the majority of my cards have 0 cost attached to them, I can just keep playing all of these cards, which means that my Rising Dragonspire's counter is just going to keep going up and up and up. Now, sadly enough, I didn't have the perfect deck setup or whatever to kind of just one-shot this boss, because that is definitely possible. I've seen people do it before, but I feel like this is a bit more of a realistic team setup. My Malin is my most invested character in the game so far. She's my only level 60, she's got a level 60 partner, and she also has a fully geared out memory fragment set as well, where I'm running 2-piece attack, 2-piece basic attack, and then 2-piece crit damage on her. Sadly enough, her crit rate is not high enough to really benefit from the crit damage that much, but if I were to get the epiphany on her upgrade cards where it gives her 30% crit rate, I'd be sitting at around like an 85 to 90% crit rate with that. But sadly enough, I didn't have that for this run. But Malin's deck was pretty much the best that I could get it so far. The things that you're mainly looking for are Unity of Attack and Defense with Move, 2 basic cards, and then hopefully you can copy that at least once, and then also Rising Dragonspire with, of course, the Epiphany, where it turns into a 2-cost card, where it will just gain all of these extra hits for all of the passion cards that you played before. When it comes down to Veronica, the thing you're mainly looking for are Kowalski upgrades, where you get it to 0 cost and then also draw 2 cards for you, and the same thing with Repose. There is a 0 cost Epiphany on this, where it loses the shield aspect, but now it costs 0 and it draws 2 cards for you. And I basically try to copy as many of these as possible. I did kind of go over my safe limit cap on Veronica, because I just kind of wanted to gamble it and see if it would work. Because I did have a Kowalski 0 cost draw 2 with Divine Epiphany on it, and I already copied that card once, and I was basically at my cap for the save data. And when I then finished the final boss, it gave me the option to copy Kowalski again. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it, see what happens. And it basically copied the card again, but I did lose the Divine Epiphany on it, so it cost 1 to draw 2 now. But that's still pretty good. And then for Mika, the thing that you're mainly looking for is trying to get those neutral cards in there, like Rally, Gear Bag. Attack also really good because it allows you to just pick up your Rising Dragonspire for wherever it might be in your deck. And then also just getting those AP buffing effects as well. The more AP that you can get on her, the better, because it means that you'll be able to play more cards in that one single turn as well. Seeing how you're drawing the majority of your deck anyways, that's going to be very useful. Sadly enough, my Mika deck was kind of bad in this case. I did get the Rally, I did get the Attack, and I did get 1 Gear Bag in there. But her Epiphanies definitely weren't that good. And I also feel like her deck was a little bit too bloated, so there were a lot of heals in there that I didn't really need for them to be there, and they were just kind of like adding to the card draw that were just kind of like dead cards whenever I drew them. Because for the most part, when it came down to this fight specifically, which is of course what I was kind of farming a deck for, you don't really need the heals that much. Her partner is able to keep you sustained for long enough, And then if you don't know how this works, all of the distortion stacks, they just add negative modifiers. And one of them is that after 6 turns, the boss just gets a huge damage buff and will basically just kill you straight up. So the partner is usually able to sustain you long enough to get through those first 6 turns for you to then just die to the next attack. So that is why you didn't really need all of the healing that Mika can provide, and you just want to go full in on card draw and also AP buffing effects that she can get for you. So that's kind of how this whole team comes together. A huge amount of card draw to Veronica. If you can get Giant Ballista on her, it could also be really good for taking care of the adds of this boss specifically. Mei Lin, you're mainly looking for the unity of attack and defense with the move 2 basic on it, and then also the Rising Dragon Spire with the combo one. And then Mika, just try and get card draw where you can through the neutral cards, and then also as much AP buffing as you can. For gear, Mika and Veronica don't really need much. My Mika just has some random pieces on her and her potentials are not even leveled. Same thing with Veronica. I did try out the 4 Passion set on her, which actually worked out quite well, because Veronica doesn't really attack on her own outside of her Ballista, and so she doesn't really lose the damage from the Passion set, so she's a good character to use that on. But outside of that, there's some pieces that I randomly slapped on her that I just kind of had lying around because I just do not have the upgrade materials to level everything to level 5, because it's kind of expensive to do that, so I need to farm more memory fragments to get that. But then of course Mei Lin, she is the main damage carry of this team. She is heavily invested, like all of her potential nodes are basically maxed out except one of them. But she's not using neutral cards, so I didn't really need that one to be maxed. And then also, like, she's got all of the upgraded gear and the level 60 partner and what not. So that's basically how I managed to clear this. If you don't know how to go ahead and fight this, it is part of the seasonal content. You just play through the story, then you do a Chaos run once, and then you unlock Nebula Distortion. There's 4 different difficulty levels, each with a different level attached to the boss. It starts at level 30, goes all the way up to level 60, so depending on where you are in the game, you will have access to these different levels. And then you can slap on as many distortion stacks as you want to make the fight as hard as possible. And then of course, the more stacks that you have on it, the more achievements that you can unlock surrounding it as well. And I think that covers basically everything I want to talk about in this video. I will leave the game play out until the end of the fight. And then I also have a little section where I showcase all of the decks that I used for this specific run as well. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
修行者たるもの、この程度は当然でございます。悪くない戦闘だったわ。お疲れ様、艦長。これも入れて、あとこれも。はい、準備できました。